Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you my 2025 wishes. So last year in 2024 I did anti-goals because there were certain goals that I just didn't want to have. I wanted to have something opposing, and I made my anti-goals, and we are going to check in at some point to see if I've achieved my anti-goals and I've been able to not do the things that I didn't want to do. And I actually really had a positive time having anti-goals and not having them in my head all the time, and there were things that I didn't need to achieve, there were things I needed to try not to achieve, and that flip on mindset really worked for me. So I started to think pretty hard and long about what I wanted to do with 2025. Did I want to set TBR goals? But I'm feeling a bit more ambitious again. I'm feeling a bit more like I want to have some goals and things to work towards, but I also am feeling a bit of a reluctance to call them goals. I know there is the power of language, and I don't want them to be things that I work very hard and chip away at to achieve. I'm that kind of productive mindset who was always like, I have this goal, I'm going to take X, Y, Z steps to do it, and I keep my goals all the way through the year. I am one of those people. So instead I decided I'm going to make 2025 wishes, and what I mean by a wish is it's something that I would love for it to happen. I would really like for it to happen, and if it does happen by the end of 2025, I am going to feel like I deserve a pat on the back and a reward, which I might give myself. But there are also things that are wishes. They are once upon a time, on a star wishes, and if they don't come true, then that is also fine. And so I really settled on the word wish, of something I wish I will be able to do in 2025, but if it doesn't happen, my body and soul and mind will still be at peace. And to be in theme with wishes, I'm only going to give myself 6, no more than that, no less, so that they feel doable, even if they don't have to be done. My very first wish, and this is probably my most important one and my most relevant one, is to significantly decrease my TBR. I know that this is a wish that a lot of readers have, but my TBR is sitting at over 650 books, as I've said before in my 2025 challenge video, and it's just a little bit too much for me, and so I'm really hoping to significantly decrease my TBR next year. It's tricky when you work in publishing, you work on a lot of books, you need to take them home and read them. It's tricky because there are loads of good books that are coming out, but actually I don't spend that much money on brand new books anymore. I mostly am a second-hand shopper, and I am also someone who gets sent a lot of review copies and say yes to review copies and request review copies, so that is how I get the majority of my books. So I can just do a little bit less of all of those things. The work one, maybe not so much, but all the rest I can do a little bit less of those things to be able to help with decreasing my TBR, as well as reading a lot. So that's my number one wish, and I think that ties into my second wish, which is actually a mindset change wish. I wish that I can secondhand shop with more restraint. Now I end up going into my secondhand shop quite a lot because A, it is local to me and literally on my street, but also because I end up donating a lot of books. I unhaul fairly regularly, which is wonderful, and I still unhaul more than I buy in my secondhand shop. I feel like often I'm unhauling about 9 to 10 books there every time I go in, and I usually walk out with 1 or 2. But because they are so cheap, secondhand books, they're about 1 or 2 or 3 pounds max, I tend to get books that I've seen, that I've been slightly curious about, but are not really on my TBR wish list. My TBR wish list is very cultivated. It's very small in terms of the fact that I really meticulously go through it and remove things regularly, and I really keep it up to date. But I see something that might have been on my wish list at one point, and then I took it off for whatever reason, but now it's there and it's only £2. Why doesn't it come home with me? Or I've been curious about this author, but I didn't put their next book on my wish list because I wasn't that curious, and now I see it in the shop for £1. So I need to get better at showing a bit more restraint when I'm secondhand shopping. It's so cheap and affordable that I go a little bit wild. My third wish is also again a bit of a behavioural shift one, and that is to find more time to sit down and read. This has been happening a little bit more with me having monthly reading sprints with my patrons, where I'm actually sitting down at least once a month to read. And before, when I grew up, I used to sit down and have a cup of tea after I came back from school, and I used to read before I got on with the rest of my life stuff to give myself a bit of a break and distance from school. But nowadays I don't do that anymore, and I do read in snatches and bits and pieces here while I'm on my commute, 25 pages in the morning, then I get ready, 25 pages after work, then I do my other stuff. I read in little snatches, tidbits here and there, and that's always been my style of reading for the past few years, but it's usually interspersed with having time on the weekends, predominantly Sunday mornings, where I'd sit in bed and read for a bit longer than I would for the rest of the week. However, now that I'm a carer, that time has actually disappeared. I actually started to work out and do fitness more, which meant I didn't spend Sunday mornings in bed anymore. I often got up and did my workout on Sunday mornings, which used to be my workout rest day. So I feel like my sit down reading time has just disappeared, and I didn't really notice it disappearing until I was reading a couple of books and I was like, I actually haven't sat down and read more than 50 pages of this in one go. I've only read this in tidbits, and is that why I'm struggling with it a little bit? So I want to find more time in my life to just sit down and read and enjoy sitting down to read. My next wish is based on something that I did last year and I really enjoyed, and last year I mean 2024 still. So I took a month or two to really focus on reading my TBR vets, the books that have been on my TBR for the longest, and I don't think I've ever felt such reading euphoria as when I did that. I felt so rewarded by reading those books, whether I enjoyed them or not. When I closed the book and I'd finished it and I could remove it from my spreadsheet and see it was like some of the oldest on my TBR, it felt so rewarding, and that feeling, I want to chase that feeling because it was so very good for me. So I want to read more of my TBR vets, just because I think books within my oldest 50, they've been there a while, and there are some stuff there that I'm really looking forward to. And when I was reading my TBR vets, I had some 5 stars, I had some 3 stars, but mostly they were good. They were like okay to great, and that's because they've survived so many unhaul culls that although they're the oldest ones, they're old ones that I'm still very excited for in this present day and can't wait to give a chance. So I wish that I will read more of my TBR vets, and I'll probably mix that up with what else I read throughout the year, but it would be really nice to get to those. Another wish of mine is that I would like to read more sequels and, dare I say it, finish some series. I make it no secret that I'm very much a standalone reader, but some of my favourite books of all time are series, and I think series take up more space on my favourite books of all time list because of the fact that they have to be so good for me to commit and finish them. And I've got some series that I really am enjoying and I would like to commit and finish, or some that I just think are really good but I think they're worth finishing, which is a hard point for me to get to as a standalone reader. So why have I not continued on and read them? I just want to be able to do that a bit more. And then my last wish is not actually a reading one, this is a content creator one, and that is I wish that I would fall back in love with vlogging. I'm not sure what happened last year, but I'm really struggling with the concept of vlogging. I really like the outcome of my vlogs. I really like editing vlogs. Actually, that's a love-hate relationship. I go through moods when I really enjoy editing my vlogs and moods where I find it to be much more of a chore. I really struggle to find time to film in my everyday, and I think when I think about, oh, I want to vlog, I see it as a barrier. I see it as a barrier to being able to read my book, because at some point I need to stop and make sure I film and check in with you guys. And sometimes I'm filming something and I'm like, oh, I need to take 5 minutes of my day to film, and it just throws me off. And so I've been enjoying vlogging less for that reason. But also vlogs don't do as well, they don't perform as well as my channel as my sit down videos do, and I largely think that really has to do with enjoyment. I enjoy filming sit down videos more. You just have to work harder to have different ideas for sit down videos. So people who are subscribed to my channel expect sit down videos, they don't expect vlogs, so when they come around they are less interested in them. I know that there are some of you who especially comment and remind me that my vlogs are great. Thank you, I really appreciate it, and it actually helps me when I know that you're excited for my vlogs, because that makes me more excited to make them, and it's like a feedback loop, because I'm like, yes, there are people who want to watch it, there are people who want to hear it, it makes me excited to create it. So there are some of my audience who do want to see my vlogs, and who, when I was like, oh, I've got a vlog edited, they're like, yay, Olivia-Savannah vlogs are back, and I was like, I need to do more vlogs. So yeah, I have vlog ideas. I really would like to vlog more next year. A lot of my 2025 challenge is riding on the fact that I'll vlog to be able to update you guys on the challenge more and more, but yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I just really hope that by filming them a bit more, it'll feel easier to film them. By posting them on my channel more, my audience will get more used to seeing them and more likely to click on them, and that it will just be a nice feedback loop to fall back in love with vlogging, because at some point I was doing it a lot and having a great time. Those are my 2025 wishes, my 6 wishes. We'll see if I've done them by the end of the year, but also if I haven't, that is fine. They are simply a wish upon a star. Please let me know in the comment section down below, do you have any anti-goals for this year, any wishes or any goals in particular? I would love to know them. Maybe I'll get inspired myself. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!